Hello, everyone, and welcome to an NXT Reacts. We've just finished watching WarGames, and I'm Ed Fries, and I'm joined by my regular co-host for NXT, Ashton Pizarro, down there in the other corner.
Hey.
And tonight we have two special guests. First, you've seen him here before. We have over here. We have Lawrence, who has recently interviewed Mike Speedball Bailey. So if you haven't caught that interview, go to youtube.com/lovewrestlingca. Go ahead and give us a subscribe. We've just passed over 1,000 subscribers, but he has a wonderful interview with Mike Bailey on there that you should definitely go and take a look at. That was right before Mike Bailey got signed to his new deal with Impact Wrestling. So I'm very excited to that. So Lawrence, thank you for joining us.
Really happy to be here.
And then we have a friend of the show. He's been in the comments for a while. We decided that we'd bring him in here and give him a chance to talk some love wrestling and some NXT. So we have our wonderful friend from Choked Goat Gaming. We have Gomer.
Howdy, everybody.
Take
Glad
this
to be
away
here.
so we can see your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. Just hide me down there.
And before we get started and going, we do want to thank our sponsors at RK Athletics. So go ahead and make sure you follow Rich King. He's a wonderful man who does all kinds of things, who makes all these wonderful Love Wrestling programs happen. So you can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at RK Athletics 1. They offer all kinds of personal training in the Edmonton area. And if you're not in the Edmonton area, you can go ahead and reach out to Rich King. He's been doing throughout the pandemic. He has been doing virtual personal training. Go ahead and reach out to him. Tell him you were sent by us, and we will go ahead and be internally grateful. Remember that you can always go to lovewrestling.ca/shop, where we'll be debuting our new shirt soon. I believe it is already available there for pre-order. And if I remember correctly from earlier today, Spencer says those shirts should be shipping sometime in mid-January. So go ahead and pick up your Live, Laugh, Love Wrestling t-shirts over at lovewrestlingca-shop. We also have a couple other people to say hi to. We have Dara Amazing in the chat. So hello, Dara. He says, hey, hey, hey. And our friend EctoGuy87 says, hello, everyone. Hello, Alex. Welcome here. And we're excited to hear your thoughts on the show as well. So let's go ahead and start with what everybody wants to talk about. It's going to be the talk of the town all night. It's going to be the talk of the town for the next couple of days. Johnny Gargano came out to Rebel Heart. I mean, the men's WarGames match. Sorry, let's focus on this. I got a little emotional. I heard Rebel Heart. Me and Asher talked about this earlier today, where I said, I know if that song hits, because everybody was like, I want the DIY theme. And I'm like, oh, God, not the DIY theme. I'm like, that would be fine. They're going to give him Rebel Heart, aren't they? And indeed did come out. As Lawrence pointed out to us in our pre-show chat, Johnny Gargano's gear today was made up of all kinds of pieces of his gear from his former TakeOver episodes. So we're going to start with Lawrence. Actually, we're going to quickly go to our friend's Turnbuckle Talk. I can't interact very much because I'm working, but I at least wanted to drop by and say hello and listen along. Thank you very much. I'm going to assume that this is Carl from Turnbuckle Talk. Make sure to catch them on Tuesdays at 6:05 on all of your favorite Love Wrestling areas. So go ahead and catch Turnbuckle Talk with Carl and Bubba Duke as they talk everything great in wrestling. But yes, Lawrence, tell us more about Johnny Gargano and this wonderful men's WarGames match that we just watched.
It is definitely what you wanted to see from Johnny Gargano, this match, with all the rumors surrounding him and his future in NXT and WWE as a whole. You got the nostalgia trip from the second that song hit. The Johnny takeover is back. The Johnny wrestling of old, plus the nice in the match send up to the Gargano family bits that they've been running in the middle of the match. It was everything you wanted from this match, from the reuniting of DIY. They hit everything out of the park with that. I felt like I would have loved, because you saw it earlier, I would have loved they hid the crutch a little more, because you saw him throw it in and you knew it was coming. But when they put it into the ring, or maybe it was just a little hidden behind something else, and then they pulled it out and put it into the camera, because that was a nice little send up too. But yeah, the whole thing was well done from top to bottom. I really enjoyed it, and like everyone else, got a little emotional seeing Like they're definitely playing up that he's leaving.
Gomer, why don't you go ahead and give us some thoughts on the men's War Games match from your point of view?
The WarGames match itself was gold start to finish. There was nothing in it that really brought me down at all. I went in hoping that they were going to change the pace from the women's one to the men's one and have a completely different vibe, and they really did. It was nice seeing that they started off with a lot of actual wrestling, that they started in there with a nice pace, nice crisp pace. As more came in, nice seeing that they actually had like little things on the outside. There's so much to talk about, and obviously, like when we go into the match more later on, I'll probably talk more about it then. But everything, by the time it was done, I'm like, I have to breathe now. I just couldn't at the time. I was mesmerized by everything.
Astrid, your thoughts on the men's War Games match as a whole?
It exactly delivered how I expected it to, and more. This is really Johnny's last match, it was definitely a good way to be sent off like this, because not only him but the crowd, the atmosphere was exactly set for this match. I loved it from beginning to end, and yeah, having those little bits and pieces with Ciampa and with like everybody in the match, I loved it from beginning to end. Yeah, just like it's bittersweet, but it's the end for him in NXT. But I'm glad he like having the career that he did and finishing up with War Games that he had never done either. This is his first War Games match in his whole NXT career. Is incredible to think about. But I loved it, and the gear, the entrance, the theme song. I was just so happy it was Rebel Heart. I just wanted to cry when I heard it.
Yeah, I definitely got a little eyes watery moment when Rebel Heart came, and I had to try to cover my face on the watch along and take a minute to get through that, because Rebel Heart, it's just it hits you right in that spot. It's that magic song. You can't explain why, but that beat hits and that upbeat happy thing, and it just makes you feel good. Is anybody surprised here, as I was, to see the pin be Braun Breaker on Tommaso Ciampa, or as we call him here on NXT, Daddy Ciampa?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, yeah,
Like
I was.
It's like a little weird. Like, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of champions losing, like taking the pin on like non-title things.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're clearly setting up Braun Breaker to be the next champion. Like I feel it's only a matter of time. Like they're definitely gonna have a banger of a match coming up, like a truly physical one. But yeah, it seems like they're setting up to be this Braun Breaker show. It's just like what I want to see is what they're going to do with the Tommaso Ciampa afterwards, and especially the black and gold guys. Like what happens to the ones that are still going to be there?
Yeah. And another question before we delve into the whole show as a whole and go match by match through it. Did anybody feel that LA Knight, and I heard this all week since LA Knight was announced as the fourth, did anybody feel like LA Knight was an odd person to be taking that fourth spot on black and gold?
No.
No?
I didn't, at least like straight away. He fit in with the other half of it. At least all four of them were facing off with the four people that they were opposed to going in. So nothing felt weird about that. If there was anybody that felt weird to me in the match, I think it was Tony D'Angelo. I felt like he was the only one when he came into the match. Like not a lot happened, and it took a while for him to really get into like showcase himself.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that more as we go through the match itself. But as a general whole, we have D-Star on our YouTube channel coming in and saying War Games was good. Not good enough to make me start watching NXT on Tuesdays, but was good. We're glad you enjoyed War Games. It's always nice to enjoy something. Sometimes it's not for everybody. I've heard a lot of people talking about 2.0 and it just not being what they want to watch and not watching it. And that's fine. NXT 2.0 is devised and being run with a different point of view and a different end game goal than NXT has been in the past. It's back to the early days of NXT, where it's a developmental brand first and an entertainment product second. And they're telling good stories and they're still doing all kinds of wonderful things, but they're showcasing a lot more young talent and getting people over. And that was evident throughout the entire show. And we're going to start with the women's WarGames match, which was Toxic Attraction and Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, Cora Jade, and oh god, I'm forgetting somebody. Kaylee Ray, KLR. There we go. Almost forgot her. Astrid, you are obviously our NXT women's wrestling expert. So go ahead and give us your thoughts on the NXT Women's WarGames match.
I felt like overall the energy, it's not what I expected it to be, and the pacing itself of the match. And then thinking about how it probably takes about 5 minutes between entrance at least. So it feels like there wasn't a whole lot of time for the match itself when everybody was in the ring. Basically, the time happened in between entrance. I was not expecting the faces to win, to be honest. I thought it would have been Toxic Attraction getting the win, but Dakota getting the pin for them in that part. With the Toxic Attraction winning or Dakota getting pinned. So that was like either one of my points when it came to the match itself. And that's not what happened, which is surprising to me. That win, though, like that pin came out of nowhere. I thought she was just going to kick out. It was going to continue because I think they could have had more time in that match for a little bit more. And that spot with Cora's elbow, holy moly. That's what I want to say when I saw that. I was like, obviously it was a good sell, but just like thinking about it happening in real life, it sounded painful just thinking about it and looking at it. And look at Io, the way she was working with it. That spot with Io it made me laugh a little bit, but it made me also feel comfortable at the same time. But other than that, it's just like the sell between the girls, like having KLR and Io check on her and Raquel check on Cora the whole time. And if you noticed, even though there were so many people, like the person that got highlighted the most was Cora through this match, though. But overall, I enjoyed it, but I just felt like it could have had a little bit more time, though.
Yeah, and we have two interesting opinions here. We got Alex saying, I actually enjoyed the women's WarGames match with the Cora Jade story built into it. And I agree. Continuing the Cora Jade story with the roll-up, while, as said here by D-Star, how can you have all these weapons in the ring and end the match with a lame roll-up? I agree. It was kind of a deflating finish, and I think most of the panel will agree. However, that's kind of Cora Jade's thing. So you're continuing to play into a storyline of Cora Jade gets these kind of fluky wins over these bigger talents. And so her being able to be smart enough to notice that JC Jane is just there and go ahead and just stacking her up while everybody else is distracted is an interesting finish. You have Dar Amazing coming in and saying that elbow spot was crazy. Gomer, we're going to go to you next and talk about, let's start with talking about the elbow spot, and then you can go on with the match as a whole. What did you think of Io Shirai putting her shoulder back in?
Oh, I actually loved it a lot. I loved every bit of chemistry that they had, showing that Cora Jade was just there essentially dead to everybody. It's like being like if you were in the video game world and seeing somebody who's hurt and you're fighting a gang of zombies. It felt like I was watching that type of thing in a wrestling ring where all of them kept having to do what they could to hold everything off, try to fix her, try to find a way to make her useful. It was fantastic. The match as an overall, it was good. It wasn't a bad match. It had its moments where it really shined, and it had its moments that it really fell apart. The first thing that caught me actually in this whole thing, I love the setup that they did, that they had both of the cages holding the wrestlers behind the crowd. That way the hard camera was facing it the whole time. I thought that was beautiful. It was much better than any of the old ones where it was on the ramp and you couldn't really see things until the camera panned over to it. So I do love that they set that up. That like kind of started the night in a great way. The early pacing with the weapons I felt was a great way to work the crowd early, get everything really excited going in. There were times with it that I was like, okay, this is a little much, but I felt that was a great way to really get the energy going with the crowd and not have like any sort of downtime at the very, very beginning of the show. Everything going in up to it, like obviously there were spots that you could tell they really wanted to pull something off, so somebody would either be standing there too long waiting for something to come in. It was a little like clunky on those type of things, but the action was at least fast paced enough. It was fresh enough to sit through. Some of the fun spots that I had kind of marked, Raquel Gonzalez having Dakota Kai inside one of the trash cans and just swinging her around at everything was just amazing. You can't see that elsewhere. Like, they fit this perfectly. Obviously the big senton off the top was the big thing with Cora Jade. That's the one that everybody's going to be talking about going through into the future. And hopefully we can get past the just kind of bland, flat finish with the roll up at the end. I get it. It kind of pushes her. It pushes that she's going to get these little wins, but it was such a deflating thing after such a big match.
Yeah. And just wanted to bring this in there. We have Wikipedia timing it, and Wikipedia, as we know, is the greatest source of internet knowledge because anybody can edit it. So it obviously must be the most up-to-date and true information. That being said, take it with a grain of salt. 31 minutes and 22 seconds. So the women got really good time in this match. In comparison to the men's WarGames match, which only got 38-11. So yes, while the men did get a little bit more time, not significantly more time. So good job on NXT. And they also got a lot of promo time on this match. This match had a week or two build more than the men's match. You really felt this match coming through. So I thought that was great. Lawrence, I want to go ahead with you and see what you thought as somebody who doesn't watch NXT on a regular basis.
Yeah.
What did you think of this match?
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a black and gold guy throughout. That was one of my genres, but like, it was a fine match. Like everyone, like both Astrid and Gomer said, I felt the crowd was a little weird for this match throughout. Like, I've heard complaints about this crowd, and I also saw it on Twitter. Also, kind of agree with like this crowd apparently is weird, and I do sort of miss the hardcore Full Sail audience, which seemed to be like a smarter, better crowd. Like a lot of like you can hear pockets of it go in the business for themselves, and like sort of like chants that I'm trying to make out, which I don't understand, which sort of took away at points from the match as like what they're trying to build. It just like didn't help the energy of the match, especially with the odd pacing throughout. But again, like it wasn't a terrible match. It was a fine match. There were some really cool spots throughout. Like it was a perfectly serviceable match and a good match to start the pay-per-view off with.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to say the same thing. The match was great. The match was fun. That being said, the finish kind of brings it down a bit. It brings it down a grade. Now, Alex brings it up. Could the fluke finish be part of the storyline? Absolutely. It's been a part of Cora Jade's storyline going forward since she came in here. She got her first win against Frankie Monet with a random roll-up. She got a win over Astrid.
Electra
Lopez. I forgot this during the watch-along too, so Astrid had to remind me that. She got a roll-up win over Electra Lopez in the same fashion. In this one, she goes ahead and she's smart enough to take advantage of a situation that she sees. It's going to make her appear to be less than, so it can give Mandy Rose somebody to defeat going forward, because I don't think Cora Jade's going to be in any way taking this title from Mandy. So you can continue to use it to build Mandy and make her feel like a bigger deal because she goes ahead and beats her. As Dara Amazing says, could she? Sure, she could. She did beat Mandy on.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm reading it wrong. I was like, could she beat her? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, she did beat her on NXT television in a surprise win as well. Cora Jade is a fine wrestler who does a lot of good stuff. D-Star brought it up earlier. You know, with the gimmick, it's a little bit like a Darby Allin type thing with the skateboard. They're very different gimmicks, but they are very similar at the same time. Darby uses the skateboard because he was a pro skateboarder, because it's part of his life and whatnot, and it goes into his art. Whereas with Cora Jade, it's more of just something to get her over, make her look interesting. But I also believe it's something that she had been doing on the indies beforehand as well, potentially. I do not recall. That being said, after this, we move on to Imperium, which is Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel, taking on Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner for the NXT Tag Team Championships. This match went just under 15 minutes. Yes, that pose. Now, I don't see her doing any Natasha poses, so Yelena would be, not be saying it like that. For all of my nerds, you know the reference. If not, we'll just move on. But I'm going to go ahead and go to Lawrence first. Imperium versus Kyle O'Reilly. They defeat Kyle O'Reilly, and then Von Wagner has an interesting interaction with Kyle
Yeah.
as the match ends. So let's go over the match first, and then we're going to get your thoughts as everybody gives them on the ending of the match as well.
Oh, I love this match. It's one of like my favorite matches of the night. Honestly, like it was like, even though it was like clearly you knew Kyle O'Reilly weren't going to win, like that wasn't like, it would have been really off-putting if they just put another two random people as tag champions, like especially as a well-formed team as Imperium is. But yeah, like throughout the match, I love the whole thing. They put on a definite banger, like a definite like example of a great tag team match. It's not nearly the best tag team match NXT's done, but like still a fairly fun match and hard hitting at times. Like everyone sort of saw the turn coming at the end, and it was nice that Kyle O'Reilly saw it coming from a guy who's been turned on before. So like, as stupid as like it might seem, like it made the other guy look real dumb, real bad at being a heel. He had all that time to hit him. But yeah, like I do like for one time somebody seeing the turn coming, because something I don't think I've seen somebody stop a turn and be like, "Fuck you, dude! I saw this coming a mile away. You're bad at this. I'm gonna beat you up real bad. Clearly, you're gonna turn on me." But yeah, like I don't know what the future holds for Kyle O'Reilly in NXT. Like I felt it was a little weird that they put him already back in a tag team when they're building up as a singles wrestler. So hopefully this is more, they're going back to the singles run for him.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that last week we talked about the ability of Von Wagner to see beyond his years, to grab the ropes, to make Legado del Fantasma's Joaquin Wilde fall out of the ring so they could win the #1 contenders match. And here he goes ahead and does the typical heel thing where he's sitting there waiting as Kyle O'Reilly's getting all his roses from the crowd and hearing the chants and enjoying the thank you Kyles, because Kyle is apparently, as well as Johnny Gargano, on his way out the door, it seems. And lo and behold, Kyle's like, no, I'm not an idiot. Fool me once, Adam Cole, that was bad. I'm not going to get fooled again. And he goes ahead, he does the UE gesture, which I thought was great, and then 3 crotch chops, and I'm like, all right, he knows who runs NXT, good to know. He knows who's backstage, and then walks off. We later find out that he challenges Von Wagner to a match this Tuesday. I'm going to assume that if he is on his way out, that could potentially be Kyle's last match. And we'll see Kyle O'Reilly go out on his back again this Tuesday with a match with Von Wagner. Astrid, what were your thoughts on this match?
I like that it was a good back and forth for me. I was not expecting that, at least from them. I feel like it was a good showing for Vaughn as well. It was like a good showcasing for him out of everybody in the match. But yeah, the ending, just the part that I knew that we're going to lose out, and I knew that he was going to turn, but I was not expecting it tonight to happen like that. But then once I saw him get behind Kyle, I was like waiting for it, counting down, waiting for that moment. And I'm like, maybe now, it's going to happen now. But obviously, seeing that response from Kyle, I was not expecting his response, but at the same time, you're thinking, based on his history, he knows that this is something that could happen to him. But yeah, I love the ending with the UE and then the crowd chop at the end, the way he was also like taking in the crowd when they were chanting "Thank you, Kyle" to him. I love that moment, obviously, but it was too short for me. I would have let it to last a little bit longer. But yeah, I was just expecting this turn to happen more in NXT, like this Tuesday, and then having faced each other that same night. But yeah, at least it'll make people like them. If you like the match, you're gonna be interested in seeing this match on Tuesday, which is gonna hook the people in as well to watch this Tuesday, which is obviously what they're trying to do with us here. But yeah, overall, I liked the match. It was really fun to watch.
We're going to go to Gomer next, but we have Dar Amazing saying a few almost endings. There were some great near falls in this match. Gomer, if you could go over, just your thoughts on that, especially going into some of these near falls, because I even bought into one of the near falls that when they did the high-low, I thought Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner were winning the NXT Tag Team Champions. That was the one and only one time that I bought into it, but I did buy in. Gomer.
Yeah, Dar Amazing actually brought up what I was going to bring up, was that the endings, like the false finishes, were amazing in this. The match to me started off, and it felt just like another kind of Tuesday night NXT match, and the match progressed and just got better and better as it went along. Eichner looked like a beast in this match with everything that he did. He looked so clean and strong and smooth. Everything about his energy and passion showed, and it made me love Imperium more than even what I did before. And of course, having like Walter at the very top of that, everything under him before kind of always looked like just a weird shadow. This kind of put them on another spectrum and really brought them closer to his level as this amazing, perfect beast. Really, the only downfall that I had in this was Von Wagner, not his in-ring work, but his mannerisms, his look. Everything just looked really bland from him. It was like he was just going through the motions. They all look clean. They look good. His face, his everything about his energy just looked really flat. And I'm going to compare it later on in the night when we get to the WarGames men's one to somebody that was in that from the 2.0 side that I thought that's what Von Wagner could be and really kind of win people over. With this, he just seems like another big guy who's just kind of there. Though the match overall, loved it. I'm glad that it really picked up towards the end, had a bunch of great false finishes, really showcased everybody that could be in it. And of course, the Von Wagner thing afterwards, where he just completely failed to turn on somebody. I'm glad that it was something like that for once, and it wasn't just, oh, he got beat up from behind. We see that all the time. We're always going to see that, and it's good to see different things.
Yeah, and I think NXT 2.0 has been great at trying to give us things that we didn't expect. You know, starting a women's title feud with Mandy Rose walking by the champion and going, you know, that title looks good on you. It'll look better on me. That being the thing that sparks a feud. Like, they've done this time and time again with little things to make something happen. Being on a talk show segment like Lash Legends, you know, lashing out, and having Grayson Waller cut that cutthroat promo about, you know, the hot dog and a handshake, and working in the VFWs and working in the high school gyms for 5 or 10 guys, and the difference between now where he can go on to Survivor in Australia and be able to get a job simply by sending a video to Vince McMahon and being like, I should be on your programming. NXT 2.0, even in its young infancy as it is right now, is doing a great job of giving us different expectations for things. And it continues here with Von Wagner doing the heel turn, but the babyface being just smart enough to go, no, that's not going to happen to me. Imperium is going to be a fantastic champions. I'm looking forward to who they work with next. I'm hoping that it's Legado del Fantasma. I think even as a heel versus heel, I think that there's a lot of mileage in that match. Either way, I really like Von Wagner in the ring. I think his in-ring work is fantastic, but I can agree with Gomer that he's working so hard to make sure the in-ring stuff is good and that he can sell. But there's a lot of in-between spots where he's thinking, and you can tell he's thinking by the look on his face. Hopefully that gets a little bit more cleaned up. But again, it's a developmental brand. He's new. He's working towards it. At least he's in the right direction. He's got great in-ring work. Everything else can be picked up as we go. Speaking of as we go, we now get Cameron Grimes defeating Duke Hudson by pinfall in just over 10 and a half minutes in the hair versus hair match. We're going to go ahead and start with Gomer here. Tell us what your thoughts were on what I thought was a rather lackluster build to a hair versus hair match. Great build to a general takeover style match, but the hair versus hair element came out of the blue. What were your thoughts on this match?
The match was good. It was nothing that's going to be like a, top of the card type of thing. The match itself was clean. It was crisp. Everything about it that I liked out of it, and I liked that it was different than the beginning of the show, end of the show. It gave a nice slower pacing. That way, you didn't have just everything going 1,000 miles an hour. Like that, they can at least showcase their skills that way and have a wrestling match, a really good wrestling match. The two of them worked really well together. I like that Duke really came off as a classic heel with a lot of his moves, even just little things like putting on an abdominal stretch and putting an actual like scratch in the back of Cameron Grimes. Little things like that are big to me when I'm watching a match, and I want to see more things like that because again, you don't see them nowadays. Everything's a lot of flips, a lot of high tempo type of thing, so it's nice to see a change like that. The finish, I like that it came the way it did. That again, you have Duke Hudson who just cannot get past all these little quirky things that Cameron Grimes can do and ends up losing out like that. It was nice also that they really teased well, Duke Hudson lost, but he's going to get the shave on Cameron Grimes by beating him up. Nope, Grimes gets him again and gets the shave in. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I remember listening to JPJ talking on the War Report when I was helping out and filling in there, and when I was listening to some of their shows. And they were talking about Chris Jericho and MJF, and they were talking about every wrestler sometimes has that one opponent they just can't get past. I like how we're seeing that here with Duke Hudson and Cameron Grimes, whereas Duke just can't get the upper hand, no matter how hard he tries, no matter what he does, no matter how underhanded he gets. Every time he thinks he has it in hand, Cameron Grimes goes ahead and finds a way to beat him, whether it's in the poker room, in the backstage room, whether it was the poker showdown in the ring, whether it was this match here. Even hell, even going further, when he thought he was going to be able to shave Cameron Grimes' hair after losing the match and then still not getting it. It's a great tell of Cameron Grimes is just a great foil to Duke Hudson. I think you say he's a classic heel, and I agree. He's a really great classic heel. That being said, Hudson is still a little boring for me. His in-ring work is good. It's fine. It's technically great. His selling is great, top-notch. I don't hate Duke Hudson. I honestly could care less. And that was really what brought this match, in my opinion, down a little bit because, like I said, the hair versus hair element, I didn't see a reason why Duke was putting up his hair. I see why Cameron Grimes is putting up his and why he wants it, but I didn't. It's one of those things where it was like there was nothing in it for Duke. If it was going to be, I think what would have been a really interesting take on this would have been Cameron's money versus Cameron's hair. So like, or something like that, or maybe Duke puts up some cash so that if Cameron Grimes wins, maybe he wins Duke's poker room. Something like that. Give it some kind of incentive for Duke other than I'm just going to shave Cameron's hair. Because at the end of the day, we shaved Duke Hudson's hair, and I don't feel like there was any emotional release from it. We're going to go to Lawrence next and have you talk about this match.
Yeah, I felt it was like a perfectly good match. I felt they both put on a great performance. I felt like just because I've been watching NXT regularly. I did like actually throughout the night, they did a good job with the promo packages because I think they felt they knew that they're going to have a lot of people who might not be watching NXT regularly. So they did a good job of introducing all the different new characters that have been coming in, all of the 2.0 people. And I do agree with you a bit, Ed, that yes, there's a couple of them, and one of them was in the WarGames match that just looked like generic, the same sort of dude with slightly different gimmicks. Oh yes, he's generic white dude number 6 with he's a poker player, this guy. But I do like the storytelling here where no matter what he does, Cameron Grimes keeps beating him at literally his own game. He tried to in the match, he tried to win with a heel pin and got caught. And Cameron Grimes does the same thing and beats him once again with a heel pin by grabbing him by the tights and just getting the upper hand once again on exactly what he's trying to do. And you could I enjoy the storytelling. Cameron Grimes comes off looking great, and he looks like an idiot again. So it's got to end probably with him just being the hell of Cameron Grimes, because it's one of those things where there has to be a big payoff here, or else this dude looks bad at the end that he just can't seem to pick up a win, especially they're trying to build up these newer wrestlers. But yeah, the match itself was I enjoyed it. I do like because I think without it, it would just been like a sort of like there's nothing here on the line at all. So my interest would have waned a little bit near the end without the hair versus hair stipulation. So like I was actually a lot more interested in the match. And also, I would say like if you're getting your hair shaved, maybe stay for the whole thing because this is arguably a worse look than being bald. Like from a purely aesthetic standpoint, either be bald or don't get shaved at all. But like it halfway done through, you're gonna look like a bigger moron.
Yeah.
Although
I
I
agree.
would enjoy if he completely rocks and just grows out the completely weird looking head that he's gonna have, and not shave it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that can go. It's interesting and it's different. But again, a lot of, like I keep saying, and I say it on NXT all the time, 2.0 is giving us the same typical things that we see, but with a twist. Nothing is the same. Like even in the WarGames build for the female match, going back to the same point, we had Cora Jade calling out the whole "can we coexist" thing. On one episode of NXT, she literally said, "Are we really going down this route of can we get along? No, we're not. This is stupid. It's old and it's played out, and I don't want to do it."
Yeah, overdone.
It was great. Like they've done a great job of making 2.0 different. Astrid, your thoughts on this match? I just realized we hadn't.
Excuse you. No, I'm kidding.
You know, we'll give you the big screen for it too.
No, you're terrible.
Big screen.
No, I'm not gonna talk. No, overall, it was an okay match for me. It just felt like what's the payoff with Duke being shaved off compared to Cameron? That's why I thought Cameron was gonna lose. It doesn't make sense to me. Like he's just shaved and that's it. Like he had nothing else on the line going on. So that's why I thought Cameron was gonna lose his hair, because that would be more emotional if you see the next week Cameron looks like all depressed because he doesn't look the same like he used to. But with Duke, I don't know what they're gonna do aside from him being shaved off this next week. So just like that part is just like the only one that didn't make sense much to me. But overall, I like how they play off with each other during this match. It was a good like back and forth for me, and they both got to showcase themselves. It wasn't showcasing just Duke as a new character, but it was a good balance for me for both of them. So I really like seeing them like that. But yeah, overall, it was a fun match. It just like I feel like it's one of those matches that you can easily see in NXT every Tuesday. It didn't have to be necessarily tonight, but it was okay.
Yeah. Now we have Roderick Strong with the Diamond Mine of Hachiman, Ivy Nile, the Creed brothers, and Malcolm Bivens versus Joe Gacy with Harland. And this was a singles match for the Cruiserweight title. It went about 8.5 minutes. I was surprised, one, that it was so short, and two, that I really didn't love it. The in-ring stuff in this match was fantastic. Joe Gacy and Roderick Strong put on a great match. I didn't need Harland picking up Ivy Nile and Joe Gacy talking him down. I didn't need all of the stuff on the outside with the Creed brothers being super, super excited for Roderick Strong. I still don't. It's so weird with the Creed brothers because like they seem like these badass bullies in the ring when they're in the ring. And then when they're on the outside for Roddy, they just seem like big, huge, massive cheerleaders. And it's really a gap on my like I don't get it. It's really weird. That being said, I thought this match was going to go a different way. And I think my own expectations played into my opinion on this match. I thought Gacy was going to win. I thought he was going to change the Cruiserweight division. And I thought we were going to get a new opened Cruiserweight division, as he calls it, inclusivity, getting away from the weight shaming, because honestly, there's not a lot of cruiserweights left in the division to continue having a weight limit on the division. I thought it would really open things up and let Roderick move on to some other more important things while leaving Joe Gacy to feud with other people like Odyssey Jones or, potentially an Ivy Nile. Like I said, I really kind of wanted to see Joe Gacy versus Ivy Nile. That being said, Roderick Strong defeats Joe Gacy by pinfall about 8.5 minutes in. I thought it was, pretty good. I mean, it's hard. Roderick Strong's matches are already held to a high standard. Joe Gacy is such a great in-ring talent, And in the watch along, we learned, from some people, and I'd never seen it until now, he looks a lot like Kevin Owens. So, and he wrestles a little bit like Kevin. He's got that bigger body type. He's very agile. He's very, go at it and go. So I really enjoyed that. But at the same time, my own idea of Gacy getting the title and moving on really played into my unfortunate dislike of the match because I didn't get what I wanted to have happen. And that's my fault, not their fault. We have D-Star coming in and saying Gacy kind of has that Kevin Owens look going on. He could replace him if Owens leaves. I agree. While the character gimmicks are two entirely different ones, he does kind of look like a smaller version of Kevin Owens. We're going to go ahead and start with Astrid on this one. Your thoughts on the Cruiserweight title match?
Yeah, this is another one of those matches that I feel like it could have been done like in a Tuesday Tuesday on NXT. It didn't have to be necessarily tonight, and it didn't give me that vibe. Like it was a good match to be on the card like that. Just like you said, based on the promo itself, I thought Gacy was gonna win. And thinking about the future of 205 Live and the cruiserweights and all the people that are in NXT that are not cruiserweights, I figured Gacy will win and obviously open up more this title and make it more like a mid-card title for a lot more people to challenge him. So that's what I thought was going to happen. Thinking he has Heartland there to be in a backup at least against people from the Diamond Mine. And now when I'm like, and the part of the interference itself too, it made me think like this could have been done on a Tuesday because it feels like a Tuesday type of match. So I'm like, this could have been out of the card in my opinion. I didn't see any like special, or at least in my opinion from that point of view. But it was an okay match. I thought it was too short. I was surprised when the pin happened. I'm like, oh, that was it. I feel like it could have been a little bit longer. That's what made me feel it was like a more Tuesday match because I feel like they have those shorter matches. And now with NXT 2.0. But overall, just like, I don't know what's going to happen now, especially with Roddy keeping the title. So it made me feel like I couldn't care about this match when it happened. And I cared about it beforehand. So,
yeah. And as we go to Gomer to hear his thoughts on this match, we have Dar Amazing asking a question that I want everybody to. Do we really need? I'm going to add the word "need" because I think he meant to. Do we really need the Cruiserweight title nowadays, anyways?
No.
I agree.
I was actually, because you touched on it. There are no real cruiserweights left. Like I was watching GCW show this weekend and seeing like what actual cruiserweights are doing. Like there's a guy, Drago Kid, Ninja Mac, even Fuego del Sol was on that show, and just seeing them just going all out. I'm like, this is what the cruiserweight title should be and what at one point was supposed to be. And now it's just a bland, replaceable title that it's just like a second North American title. It's like at this point, like I'd rather see this title go away and Roddy have the North American title with Diamond Mine. Like I do like the idea of Diamond Mine. I think there's still there's too many people in there right now that it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. Yeah, like they did the whole thing. I would I don't see WWE doing like a fully open title where it's intergender. Like I would like to see that because like the only major company that's doing it is Impact right now. To their credit, like some of those matches could be absolute bangers, and like putting Raquel Gonzalez against somebody else that it opens stuff up so much more creatively too for like storytelling. Like it gets kind of bland because you're just having the same, especially after all the cuts, 6 people go up against each other round and round in a circle. It could be one, but yeah, I honestly at this point there's no point in the cruiserweight title.
All right, and Gomer, your thoughts on the match and the Cruiserweight Championship as a whole?
The match was good. Nothing amazing. Nothing that was like a pure, was going to top the card or anything like that. But it fit the role nice, especially because we were getting the men's WarGame match right after it. Nice pace for that. At least, you weren't going to have something that was going to deflate the crowd going into the hottest portion of the show. I like that it was heel versus heel. I'm a person who loves that we can get something like that in this day and age, and at least we don't get it often, but we can get those type of things and still have parts of it to where we're like, we're going to side with this side because we really do not like this other side, and that's where Gacy's coming in. Gacy comes off as the person that everyone, whether you're a face, whether you're a heel, you just hate him. So he fit into this perfectly with that. I love Diamond Mine. I love them coming out as a group like that. I actually love them having as many people as they do. It comes off. It shows me that they're loved, like as a group. That they actually like come out as that huge entourage every time, kind of like what you would see at like a big like boxing match or an MMA fight. I love that vibe that comes off with that. The match overall, like I said, good. Nothing amazing, nothing stellar. Clean work. I had actually picked Roddy to win this one. I did have a back and forth with Astrid. This was the only match we talked about before the card tonight. And I felt like Gacy losing doesn't bring him down at all. It actually inflates what his character is trying to do by trying to push his motive and just constantly saying like, well, I didn't get there because of everybody else involved. I didn't get there because nobody's truly following me. You should. So I felt like everything went the right way, but, just a good match.
Very nice. And Lawrence, your thoughts on this match as a whole? I know you answered the cruiserweight title question, but
it was a fine match. Like like my interest did way near the end. That like I stopped paying attention for a little bit and like came back right before the finish, which is like, why is this giant man holding this woman in the air for no reason? This weird serial killer looking dude. Yeah, like I love Roderick Strong. He's again like I honestly, it's another. If any chance I have to see Malcolm Bivens on my television, I'll take it up a million times. Like I watch a full hour of Malcolm Bivens. The dude is so goddamn funny. I just like, especially like as a manager, he's so great, and I want to see him do more stuff. Like I'm happy they gave him Diamond Mine, and put him on TV regularly. Like finally, after like years of him being there. But yeah, like the match itself was like a forgettable. Like no one's gonna be talking about it much tomorrow. It's gonna be one of those like, oh yeah, that happened on the card too type matches. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is a shame for these two guys because I feel like they could have that 20-minute knockdown, drag out banger that we talked about when we talked about Imperium, where they went 15 minutes, and it was like, this is a great match. It kind of stole the attention away from everything else, and I feel like this one could have done the same, and it didn't. It fell very flat. Not even so much with the finish, just like I said, my expectations got the better of me, things like that.
But also, I will take umbrage as the Montreal here. That man is no Kevin Owens. I have met Kevin Owens. That man is no Kevin Owens.
Well, there we go. We have the definitive answer from Montreal. He is not Kevin Owens. He's in no way, shape, looks like Kevin Owens. Yeah. We are no longer going to bring up that Joe Gacy even resembles Kevin Owens in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. Although I did say that I thought it was interesting to bring up that we talked about three people in the last couple of weeks as having some big things going on. Colby Corino in the NWA, Joe Gacy here in NXT, and Eddie Kingston having had that CM Punk match not too long ago. They were all part of Wanted, the Unwanted, and Evolve. And I think that's a great little combination of those three guys, with Colby Corino having been their young boy, and a tag team of Joe Gacy and Eddie Kingston is something I really would have loved to have seen in NXT.
Yeah, it is sort of surreal when you it came up literally today on my YouTube feed of seeing Eddie Kingston under a WWE banner. Mm-hmm. Now it's like this. It makes you do like a triple take. Like, did somebody fuck up here? Is this like it's an Evolve thing?
Yeah, it's crazy the stuff that you can Evolve's relationship with WWE, especially at that time, right? Because that was going into the match at the anniversary show where they had Adam Cole on it. It's one of those things where this is the power of SEO in taking stars that aren't part of your company or that aren't with you anymore, and knowing that they're going to give you searches and they're going to give you hits, and going ahead and putting up stuff like that. Yeah, we're talking about the Wanted from Evolve. Hello, Darnell. Thank you for joining us. Yes, that was a great little time in Evolve's history where you had Eddie Kingston and Joe Gacy on the same team, And just thinking about it brings a smile to my eye because that's something fun. Like not in these current gimmicks. It's like you can't put these two in a tag team now, but that'd be a hell of a match now. Like Eddie Kingston in his current incarnation versus Joe Gacy in this current incarnation. Yep, WWE's YouTube channel had MJF on it. All of the fun things you can do when these people do spot appearances for you when they work in the indies, and it's your own content, so nobody can yell at you for putting it up there because you own Evolve now, so you can put all this content up there and you can get these hits on when these guys are doing things and other things. SEO is a very important thing. And the people running WWE social medias know about it.
Yeah, I had like MJF come up, and even I believe what was the other person? Oh, John Silver from like their Tough Enough like tape editions. That's what came up for me, suggested on YouTube. Aside from that, from what Lauren was talking about from Evolve, that's another thing that came up for me, suggested on YouTube a couple of days ago. I remember I sent it to you, Ed.
Yeah, that's how I saw it again because I'd seen it before, but that brought it back to me. Now we had Dar Amazing bring this up a little while ago, so I'm going to fill in a couple spots that we had throughout the show. So earlier in the show, we had an interview with Legado del Fantasma as their family. They had all four of them out there. And Mackenzie Mitchell asked Santos Escobar what's going on with Zion Quinn and whatnot. And then she had the audacity to ask Santos, do you think it was okay that Elektra met with Zion Quinn after the show? Because during, later on in the show, after they had been run off, she went ahead and informed Zion Quinn herself that they were going to have a match this Tuesday between them. And I loved Elektra Lopez getting up into her business and being like, that's a me thing and an LDF thing. We're a family, but that's not a Mackenzie Mitchell thing, so you don't have to worry about it. I really like Elektra Lopez. She's coming alive on the microphone. I hope she continues to improve in the ring the way she improves on the microphone. Santos Escobar and the rest of Legado del Fantasma look fantastic in their suits. They always look great. Santos is $1 million. He's a star in the making. I really hope they continue with this Legado del Fantasma thing. And I'm looking forward to Tuesday night with him versus Zion Quinn. Anybody have any general thoughts about this segment? No?
No.
Okay. I'm going to say, and then I'm going to move on to what Dar Amazing did bring up, which reminded me of these two segments. We had the video package that chronicled the last 5 or 6 weeks of MSK's journey, and we found out that this Tuesday, sadly not tonight, we get to find out who the shaman is. For Lawrence,
are we really?
They told us we're finding out Tuesday. God, I hope so, because I could really care less now that it's not John Morrison. Because again, my expectations got the better of me, and I heard shaman in tag team wrestling and assumed it was going to be John Morrison, and then he got fired. That being said, I honestly don't care who the shaman is anymore. It's been going on way too long. It was funny in the beginning. A lot of the skits have been funny. But last week, with them not paying it off last week when they had the GPS making fun of the segment, which again is a really tongue-in-cheek thing that NXT 2.0 has been doing, with even the GPS telling Nash Carter, yeah, you guys have been at this for 5.5 weeks to meet this guy. That being said, any thoughts from everybody on who you think the shaman might be? Lawrence, I know you have no idea what's going on. You only know what you saw tonight. Who do you think might be the shaman this Tuesday on NXT?
I mean, I saw the rumor online that it might be RVD, which would be kind of cool. But I'll just say it right now. It's me. It was me this entire time. That's why I've been watching.
Okay, I'm not watching them.
Oh, wow, Astrid. Wow.
Astrid.
Cold as ice. I was be like,
hold on. Even though she's my co-host, boom, there we go. Let's move on.
Come on, it took you 6 weeks to appear. You could have done it faster than that.
I take my time. It's story building.
Gomer, your thoughts on who could be the shaman this Tuesday night on NXT?
Now that Morrison's out of it, not that I really cared that he was ever going to be it, but I don't care. I've not cared for a few weeks. I want to see them wrestle. I don't want to see this going on forever.
Astrid, any thoughts on who the shaman could be?
I mean, like the only option I have is RVD with all the weed references, but other than that, I really have no idea at this point.
I'm still gonna throw out. I'm gonna throw out weed references included. I think this still fits. I think it's a subpar ending, but I think it could be good old Doot himself. I think it could be Michael P.S. Hayes.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves his weed just like everybody. Like it's just like MSK does. He's a tag team specialist with the Fabulous Freebirds. I think it could be an easy out for them. He could definitely be this flashy, flamboyant guy, and I think he would get along well with them in there. So I definitely think that could be what we got. But now we get to our main event of the show and of our recap, and it was Team 2.0, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, and Tony D'Angelo with Trick Williams, and they defeated Black and Gold of Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, and LA Knight. We're going to go ahead and start with Lawrence, as you haven't been keeping up with 2.0. What did you think of this match as a whole, and going into any of your favorite spots in the match?
Well, like the obvious one would be the DIY spot near the end was nice. But like once I saw they hit, like once he kicked out, I knew they weren't going to win. Like that was like a nice moment near the end. I would say the one like 2.0 person I just like, because I haven't seen anything is Waller. He just, to me, looked like somebody like started making a creator wrestler in 2K and stopped after. Like he just looks like generic AJ Styles gloves and UFC shorts, and that this is it. I'm not going to give him like anything else. And like it was like a lot of the match too. He was like used to just take the big bumps, and like everyone was like, I don't remember the Italian dude's name.
Tony
D'Angelo.
Tony.
Tony D'Angelo, yes. Good
Make
Anthony.
it more Italian.
Yeah. I like just him watching him boss him around multiple times to just get up on the cage and throw yourself off. Like, like it made me laugh. It's like, cause he's like, you do it. You fucking jump off the thing and crash in. I'll be fine. I'll cover him later. Like, yeah, he was the only one that like just didn't do anything for me during that match.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the match was like, it was a lot of fun from start to finish. Like by the end, I was on the edge of my seat. Both sides brought it and beat the hell out of each other. Like poor Johnny Gargano got his nose busted fairly early on. Yes, sir. My paisan, as somebody who's half Italian. Good Tony and Anthony right there doing good work with the crowbar near the end.
Oh, that was a scary spot.
Oh yeah. But yeah, like I felt like everyone got a chance to show off their stuff, and it felt like it was going to always be sort of a coronation. It was either going to end like send him home happy with like DIY getting like the standing ovation, like them letting Johnny Gargano get the standing ovation near the end, or it was going to be Braun Breaker's coronation. And it was clearly Braun Breaker. Like I said earlier, he's going to be the star of the show going forward.
Mm-hmm. Astrid, your thoughts on this match as a whole, and any of your favorite spots?
I loved it. One of the things that I noticed was different from like the girls' match is that the guys were just going in. They were not going for weapons that the girls were under the ring. I think the first time that I ever saw somebody win the weapons was Tony asking Trick to bring them over to him. He was not looking for them himself. He was like, give him to me. And I saw he did it with the candlestick, and then he brought him in the table too. So I thought that was fun. And then I feel like I like Gargano having his little moments with everybody, because he had that moment with Pete doing the crossface at the same time as he did the Gargano escape. And obviously his moments with Ciampa, just like I love these little bits and pieces. And I like one of my favorite parts is when they were all in the middle of the ring, like the old school guys, and they all look at each other, start smiling, and when they start attacking the new school guys, and when they do it towards the corner too, I just like I loved it. And having like LA Knight climb up the cage just to get in there because he was locked in is another thing I was not expecting. The way he just looked at it like, I guess I have no other answer, and they just started climbing up. I love that part. And the finger spot with Grayson and Pete, it's another one that I was like, I know obviously Pete does that all the time, but having Grayson sell it that way, I really enjoy that part. And then when LA Knight hit him with the kendo stick while he had the trash can on him as well, I think that was pretty funny too. But overall, I loved it because they gave you those little, like Lauren said at the beginning, like nostalgia, like pieces here and there. And I loved every bit of it. If it's really Gargano's last match, it was just a great way to send him off. And I liked the chanting from the crowd. It just made me more emotional. I had to turn it off because I just couldn't. But apparently, he said after the show that he's gonna tell us everything about his status on Tuesday. So we'll see how it goes after that.
Gomer, your thoughts on the match as a whole, and getting into some of your favorite spots from this match.
Match was amazing. A match start to finish had such great pace to it, had a nice start to it where it wasn't just like rushing in, wasn't throwing all the weapons in. Love that it was wrestled. Love that the wrestling really came off as strong. And then it just built and just got better and better as it went along, regardless who came in. The spots, definitely. Pete Dunne's were my favorite. Anytime that he was doing any sort of joint manipulation, whether he was doing it in the cage itself by bending the fingers back, when he was using the weapons on the hands and the legs and everything like that, that's the type of stuff that I love to see. I love to see something to where, yeah, you want to just inflict pain on this person all the time. You're not just there to win a match. You're there to hurt them. You're there to take them out every way you possibly can. It was nice to see a lot of stuff that came up through the match. And actually, I know Grayson Waller wasn't the most loved on everybody's in this. He was actually the one that, thinking of back to Von Wagner early in the night, Von Wagner had no real like push or really passion. I felt like Grayson Waller was nothing but passion while he was in this. He does kind of come off as that weird like creator wrestler guy just from his look, but I felt like everything he was doing, he was pushing and had emotion and really just wanted to go out there and be as good, if not better, than everybody else. So seeing him do those things, like the actual like elbow drop off the top, having him jump from one ring to the other ring at the same time, things like that really came off great to me because I didn't know much about him going into this one. I saw a little bit of his stuff before, but that was it. This really made him shine more to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a great job following in the Miz's footsteps of being a reality star who's made it into the wrestling ring and makes it, as both Gomer and Lawrence has said, and definitely off of Lawrence's thing, he isn't the most creative in his wardrobe. It's kind of basic creator wrestler, hit random. He wears his gloves. He has his boxing trunks, and there are a variety of different colors and things like that. But at the end of the day, when he's in the ring, I'm interested in what he's doing, and his in-ring work is really, really good. He's selling really well. He's really making an effort. And for that, I give him the credit, the benefit of the doubt on the look, because you can fix the look. The look can always be fixed later on. You can't fix, like Gomer says, passion. You can't fix drive. You can't fix, being able to really sell and make it a big deal. And his mic work is so fantastic. They're pushing him on TikTok. They're pushing him on all the social media stuff. But I think in this new age of wrestling, he could be an interesting guy to look forward, because he could be the start of a new wave of international stars coming from a non-wrestling background. Because normally the people who come from a non-wrestling background are people who we're familiar with here. He's kind of the opposite. He's famous in other areas, or infamous, if you ask Josh Robinson, from his time on Survivor. But he's kind of gaining his infamy in the ring and doing the work and really putting it out there. The spot that really won this match over for me, because of course it was fantastic. It was WarGames. It made me feel WarGames. I didn't miss the Undisputed Era in this match, having watched this. But the moment that really had me going, ooh, and I bit my hand as I was watching it on the watch along, was when Tony D'Angelo took out Pete Dunne's mouth guard, put it in his pocket. Why are you keeping it? Like, I get taking it out. That's fine. That makes a whole lot of sense. Why are you keeping his mouth guard?
To remember his victim for tonight.
Apparently. Yeah. I didn't know that was a mob thing, but apparently it might be. Or, I'm sorry, as a family business. Sorry, it's not the mob. It's a family business. Got to make sure I don't get in trouble with Tony. That being said, he then takes the crowbar and basically has it hooked around Pete Dunne's neck. and then does his spinning neck breaker off the top rope. That's a hell of a setup and a move, and it looked great, and Dunn sold it great, and D'Angelo really came out looking strong. Carmelo Hayes had the save of the night with me. I thought it was great. They did the meet in the middle with DIY. The match is over. DIY is going to get the dual pin. No, Hayes goes ahead and there's no disqualifications or anything. He grabs the ref's leg and he yanks him as far as he can to stop the count. Fantastic job of just, you can't do one thing or the other, so you just do what you can. And Hayes, knowing he's going to get a beat down as he's just laying there, smiling and laughing at Ciampa because he knows he got one up on him. Just absolutely fantastic. 2.0 goes over as they should. I mean, I love DIY. I love it all. Yeah, he calls it the Gregory Helms spot. Just absolutely fantastic. 2.0 needed to go over here. You're building a new type of brand. You're building a new type of NXT. You have to say thank you to the guys who helped build this brand. Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano. LA Knight in spirit there for people like Samoa Joe, for people like Timothy Thatcher, for people like Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Adrian Neville, Bo Dallas, all of these people who helped build NXT and put it on their backs and take it from what it was before, which is essentially NXT 2.0, with a mix of guys who are at the top of their game and guys who are being developed. And then we had the indie darling influx to the black and gold brand the way it was at its heyday with people like Adam Cole and all those fantastic people. And you give them the thank you that they deserve by putting in, a guy like LA Knight into a match that he's never been in, giving Johnny Gargano the one thing he hasn't had his entire run in NXT, a chance to be in WarGames, a chance for him to really call his shots from beginning to end in that match, whether it be coming out to Rebel Heart, whether it be his attire being all of the takeover stuff like we talked about earlier. Absolutely fantastically built match. It took, and to think, this is one of my favorite WarGames matches, and it was built in 2.5 weeks. It started with a promo from Grayson Waller on one show, and then literally 2 weeks of build to actually build the WarGames match. Now, yes, all of these feuds are really, for the most part, long-running feuds. We have Grayson Waller versus LA Knight. You have Carmelo Hayes and Johnny Gargano, and you have Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa. But they weren't all. I didn't see any of this coming together as a WarGames match until the until the Waller promo, the Ciampa response, and then the next week where they set it all up. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm in. This is great. Old guard, new guard. You don't need 6 weeks of build. You don't need all that great storytelling. The story's already laid out. And they really came and they made you feel it in the match. Like you guys said, with all of those spots, it just felt right.
Oh, and Dexter. How could I forget about Dexter giving him the thumbs up and leaving too? Like, why?
Yeah, Dexter. That was a part I missed. I'll be honest. I had some internet woes where all of a sudden all of my devices decided that they no longer wanted to connect to the internet at the same time. That was scary. So I was unsure what was going to happen. I'm sure I was not the only scariest person here. I'm sure Ashley was petrified when all of a sudden she learned that my internet went dead. Because I don't think Ashley was going to be excited to be running this show without me.
I was getting mentally ready when I saw you going off. So,
that being said, I want to give everybody a chance to give their grade for this show and to pick their favorite match without the men's WarGames match. Because I think, honestly, I think to a fault, I think all of us probably would choose the men's WarGames match. So let's take that out of it and let's say, what was your favorite match other than that, or your favorite moment of the whole show? And we're going to go ahead and start with Astrid.
I give it like an A-. I feel like the Cruiserweight title, for example, was kind of slow for me, and I could have gone the show without it. But aside from like the men's WarGames, I gotta say the ladies, because I like how they did it, and I feel like they killed it. I know obviously there's little spots here and there that were iffy, but other than that, I overall enjoyed the match, and I'm glad they opened it. because I feel like this match would have gone like that. Finish would have been good for a main event. If it was a different type of finish, maybe I would have been okay with it. But this finish is not a main event finish for me. So I'm glad they opened the match to like get the crowd going. So I'll give it like an A- with that.
All right, Lawrence.
I'll give it a solid B plus. Like it was a like fight event, like a like again there have been no straight up bad, even though it's not a takeover anymore. Takeovers in NXT, they've all been straight up enjoyable shows with very few lowlights. I honestly think the tag match was like outside of the men's thing was probably my favorite match. Like NXT has always excelled at doing those tag matches and like putting a highlight on them and giving them time to get for them to get the stuff in. And I greatly enjoyed it. And Imperium just looks so dominant. Just like they gave him a chance to look really good. So yeah, that was probably my favorite match of the night.
Gomer.
Give the show overall an A-. Really, the match outside of the men's war games that I would take as the top one for me was the women's war games. The ending was flat, like I said, but at the same time, the rest of the match at least had a great like push to it. It had great energy. It got the crowd going early. The definitely surprise and definitely close second to that, though, would be the tag team match. The tag team title match far exceeded anything that I expected out of it. I went into it with no care and came out of it really liking everybody in it. And actually, we get to see something else that comes from it too on Tuesday, so that's really cool too.
And for me, I'm gonna be the harsh grader here. Apparently, I'm gonna give it a B, just a straight B. The Cameron Grimes Duke Hudson match was really great. But like I said, I felt like it needed to be hair versus something. There needed to be something else on the line to really make me emotionally invested into Duke Hudson losing, which is why I really thought Cameron Grimes was going to lose the match, because that was your emotional release. And when it didn't happen, and then the Roderick Strong Joe Gacy match, I got myself too hyped. I got myself hyped for something that didn't happen, and it brought the grade down. It probably shouldn't, but it did. Again, I'm gonna agree with Lawrence. I think that tag match was absolutely fantastic. If we're taking men's war games out of it, that match was a clinic about Imperium showing you this is how a heel tag team runs. This is how you do it, and this is what you can expect. I'm very excited for what comes next for a lot of this, because there's a lot of openings, and there's still so many good things coming on 2.0. It didn't disappoint, but at the same time, it's a new benchmark where we're getting rid of everything else. We have New Year's Evil coming up as a Tuesday night special, as a special episode of NXT on January 4th coming up in a couple weeks. I'm very excited to see what happens from there. But it was a really good show. And we have Darnell popping in here. He says, I'll give the pay-per-view a solid B. And his favorite spot was LA Knight's springboard table spot with Grayson Waller. I mean, that was a hell. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
But running from the ring to the top rope, grabbing Grayson Waller, overhead throw, and Grayson Waller landing perfectly on that table.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic spot. Everybody involved in that spot. And again, it's kind of where you go with Grayson Waller. Yeah, it's 90% LA Knight by doing all of the fancy stuff. Grayson Waller still has to take the throw and land on the table. And he did it perfectly.
Yeah.
That being said, we're going to go ahead and give everybody a chance to let you know where you can find them. And we're going to start with our guests. So we're going to go ahead and start with Gomer. Tell us where people can find you and if you've got anything coming up in the near future.
Yeah, totally. You guys can find me at ChokeGoat on the Twitter world. If you're going into the Instagram side of things, you could get me at ChokeGoat Gaming. I do actually have my page, kind of primarily a video gaming site. I do a challenge that I started last year. It's called the Play All My Games Challenge. I have a collection of well over 2,000 like solid physical copy video games. I've had friends ask me forever if I've played them all, and obviously I haven't. So I'm pushing to do a video game every day and actually get through playing at least a little bit of all of my games in the collection. If I do ever beat them all, that's a completely different story. I doubt that'll happen. But it's been a fun little thing. I've got to play games that have been really, a lot of them really bad, but a lot of them have kind of been like diamonds in the rough that I never would have thought that I would like. I try to put that up on Twitter all the time. I do get a post every single day on Instagram. And I'm probably going to do a lot more wrestling talk too on the Twitter side. So definitely follow me at ChokeGoat.
All right. And as Astrid disassembles her setup, we're going to go ahead and give Lawrence the big screen. I know I surprised him there, but Lawrence, tell us where people can find you.
You can follow me at CartsyNDG on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm going to be trying to pop up with more stuff coming up. And I'm a little bit of a tease, going to have potentially my own thing coming up in the new year.
There we go. Very excited. We got Astrid Pizarro, the big star. Tell us where we can find you.
Well, Tuesdays here at NXT with you and Sundays with Cody. If not, we'll have a special guest as we've been doing lately. But other than that, on my Twitter, Astrid Pizarro right there. So I'm always tweeting about whatever I'm watching when I'm out here on Air I Love Wrestling. So hopefully once my schedule at work clears up, hopefully in January, more interviews will be coming. So if you see me on Twitter, let me know who you want me to interview. I'm focusing on female talent, whether they're referees, managers, wrestlers, whatever they are. So let me know whatever you want to see next.
And when I give myself the big screen, normally I go ahead and promote myself, and you can find me on EdFries12584 on Twitter, and you can go ahead and, we all know where you can find me on NXT. I want to take this moment. There's a friend of mine who I watched play Blood on the Clock Tower. She's a real great wrestler. I'm excited to see her do more work. But as Rye Levy brought up during Quizplex, the QWI 200 came out. I'm very excited for this, that she was number 188. So Coda Holiday, nice big shout out to you. Congratulations on making the QWI 200. If you haven't, go ahead and give that a look. It talks about all kinds of different out wrestlers in the wrestling world and tries to rank them kind of like what the PWI does. So go ahead and give that a follow. Go ahead and take that a look and support, as Love Wrestling always does. Support and love wrestling. And if that's, all kinds of different things. So go ahead and show support to everybody. It's the wrestling world, and we got to, love it and love the people in it. As long as they're good people, love them all. Like, just whatever it is, it's just fantastic people doing fantastic things.
I just want to shout out to local wrestler here, Alex Mays, also made that list. He's one of Speedball students. Actually, last year he posted that he wanted to be on that list, and this year he made it. So shout out to him. He's one of Speedball Mike Bailey students right here from IWS. And
he's a former guest of on Blowing Off Stream.
Yeah,
we played the Jackbox with him. So it's a fantastic thing to have him on the list. I didn't get through the whole list, so I didn't see Alex on there. But congrats to Alex Mays as well for jumping on the list. For everybody here, I want to thank you for joining us for our Love Wrestling Reacts to War Games. You can catch us all at different times, and remember to love wrestling.